channel. This is the Cables RC channel that kind of talks about our history and journey through getting into remote control vehicles, remote control boats, cars, drones, etc. I'm the grandpa. I've got 6 grandchildren. The name Cables comes from the first letter of each of the 6 grandchildren's first name. Cables RC, hence the name of our channel. So how, you ask, does a 66-year-old grandpa get into the hobby of remote control, of RC cars, boats, etc.? Well, we didn't really do this on purpose. I had the kids one day, and we were wandering around figuring out, well, what can I do with the kids? And so I had taken them out to a local remote control track. We're fortunate, we live near A Main Hobbies, and they have an outdoor track that they race 1/8-inch nitro cars and races there. And they also just opened in the last month or so an indoor track, carpeted track, where there's indoor off-road racing as well as on-road racing. And they also have an outdoor dirt oval. So we were out there in the gravel parking lot at the outdoor track, and some guys were there filming a YouTube video driving around a motorcycle, a remote control motorcycle in a car. And my grandkids loved sitting there and watching. I've got 3 boys, one 9.5, one now 5, and another one that's almost 5 months old. So the retail store for A Main Hobbies was right across the street from the track. And obviously the boys were interested. So we went across the street and visited the retail store. And one thing led to another, and Grandpa started with a boat because we have a pool, and the boys thought they'd like to drive the remote control boat around the swimming pool. So we got this little boat, brought it home, and started playing in the swimming pool with our first remote control boat. And that worked well, except there was 1 boat and 3 of us. So the next step was to look at getting some additional boats for the boys to drive. So thank you, Amazon. We got on Amazon and found another remote control boat. Now these are much smaller and turns out much slower, but they still use a 2.4 gigahertz remote control, and these would motor around the pool. And they would be okay, but the boys got a little bored because they just weren't as fast as Grandpa's boat. Now this boat, we had some problems with this boat, getting it to turn to the left. It turned to the right very well, but it didn't turn to the left too much. So we went looking again for some other boats to race in the pool. So Grandpa found a little bit bigger boat, another boat. Now these boats are fast. They turn on a dime. Rechargeable lithium battery, again, 2.4 gigahertz remote control, waterproof, durable. These boats going at full speed, if they hit the side of the pool, they're liable to do some damage. But again, there were 3 of us, so 1 boat wasn't enough. 2 boats wasn't enough. But 3 boats, and we had enough that all 3 of us could race these boats around in the backyard swimming pool. And then once we took them up to a lake nearby, and we raced them around in the lake. And that worked great during the summer when we were outdoors and around the pool. Shortly after that, one of my grandchildren, my 5-year-old grandson, had to have some pretty serious surgery. And he had to be kept still for about 6 weeks after his surgery. Well, I don't know if you've been around 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds much, but it's very difficult to keep them still for any period of time. So we were looking for ways, well, how can we keep him still and yet still he could have some fun? So now we're looking at remote control cars. And this was our first remote control car purchase. This is a nice little DERC truck. It's a 1/20th scale, pretty durable little car, 260-foot range, goes about 7 miles an hour, I think the documentation says. No servos, no big deals you have to worry about as far as electronics. Battery pack's accessible from the outside, on-off switch outside of the car body. Nice all-terrain tires. Nice little wing on the back. Just a nice little remote control car that the kids could play with out in the driveway or in the backyard. We took them to the pump track and drove around there. But we only had 2 of these. And that presented a problem because the boys wanted to race against Grandpa. Well, Grandpa wanted a little bit bigger car, a little bit faster car. Turned out to be a little bit more expensive car. So Grandpa came back with this car, 1/16 inch scale, brushless motor, off-road buggy, 2.4 gigahertz, separate servo motor, separate ESC. As I said, a brushless motor, does a legitimate 45 kilometers per, equivalent of miles per hour, 48 kilometers per hour. This thing moves, turns really well, incredibly durable. So when the boys and I are out racing, when the boys have these cars and Grandpa has this car, it doesn't work out very well because the boys want to race Grandpa's car. Well, the box, when I ordered this, on the box it says for kids 14 years and older. Keep in mind I have a 5-year-old and a 9.5-year-old. Of course, they wanted to race Grandpa's car. So Grandpa let the boys race this car. And then the small cars weren't good enough anymore because they couldn't do jumps, we couldn't do spins, you couldn't do wheelies like you could with this car. And the other thing about this car, what happened when we got this car and I started letting the boys drive this faster, more powerful car, is that Grandpa spent most of his time charging batteries for getting ready to go out and run the remote control cars. And then when we got back from racing or bashing out in the parking lot, Grandpa did repairs. Because these cars going 48 kilometers per hour in a head-on collision, they do some damage. Or as my 5.5-year-old said one day when he's out riding around in a parking lot, church parking lot one Saturday morning, he comes walking over to me dejected, holding the car in one hand, his remote control in the other hand. The car had a broken wheel. Says, Grandpa, a curb got in my way. So this is where we wind up next. Now the parts on these cars are accessible. You can buy them on Amazon or AliExpress. It's less expensive. But you buy 1 or 2 parts, you might as well buy the whole car. So Grandpa got 4 of these cars. These are Amazon for, if you buy them right, you can get them around 80 or 90 bucks on sale. So Grandpa had 4 of these. That would be 1 for each of the boys and myself, and 1 for their fathers when they come to race with us. But then I started looking at having to buy parts when I had to repair them. And it turns out it was cheaper just to buy 2 or 3 extra cars to cannibalize and use as parts cars. So I think I own 6 or 7 of these cars now. And they're great bashers. We go out to parking lots, we go out to vacant fields with dirt and gravel, and we're spinning and running into each other and going over jumps, and the kids are loving it. Here comes Christmas time, 2023, and my son, the uncle to 4 of my grandkids, 2 of the boys, decides he's going to buy my 9.5-year-old a 10th scale Traxxas Slash. Well, a 10th scale Traxxas Slash is a little bit different and bigger than this little guy, and also a lot bigger and different than the 1/16 scale. So that kind of upped us to a whole new ball game when it came to our interest in the hobby remote control cards. And mind you, we had not been to hobby, the A-Main hobby track yet. We had not been on the indoor carpet yet or anything. But now that my son got my grandson a 10th scale Traxxas, we're at a different level. So now the 5.5-year-old wants to also run on the carpet, get a 10th scale truck, etc. So now we are into 10th scale cars. This is a Tamiya. This is our first kit build that we did. A Tamiya. This was a Mustang we built a couple of weeks ago. And my oldest has put this around, raced this around the track at A-Main on the carpeted off-road track and does quite well. But the problem is that there's only 1 of these and there are 3 of us. So my 5.5-year-old, he can't quite do this, but he does a great job outdoors on the oval track. But he can't run these yet. But my 9.5-year-old is real interested, and my 9.5-year-old also wanted to run some off-road. So now we're also into the 10th scale buggy. This is a Yokomo rookie car, it's called, and we are both learning to drive this on the off-road carpet at the A-Main track. But there's only one of these, and there are two of us. So I have another one of these. It's a Team Associates buggy, also a RTR remote control buggy. So now we have two buggies, 10th scale, two of the Tamiya kits, one yet to build, 7 of the 1/16th scale cars that we go bashing with, 2 of the tiny little remote cars that we started with, 3 pretty fast little boats for running around the pool. We've got a 1-mile dam area nearby that's dammed up during the summertime. It's a big swimming hole. We run it over there. We take it out to the lake once in a while. And we still got 2 of the little tiny boats we started with. So when Grandpa started, $43 for 2 from Amazon. Even these things, much nicer little boat, but I was getting these for around $39 a piece. $25 a piece on Amazon. Between $70 and $90 a piece if you shop it right, times 6 or 7. About $136, not counting the electronics. Add the transmitter, add the receiver, etc., etc., etc. 10th scale buggy, $375. You see where I'm going with this? $375. And this is not an expensive remote control car or buggy. So we are still just learning about remote control. We have a great time. The kids and I, we go out and we'll race around, as I said, parking lots or vacant fields, dirt tracks, etc. We're having fun learning about the different race classifications. I'm still confused on some of those, but we're looking at those. My grandson runs his 10th scale slash around a dirt oval. We're learning to repair the cars, different types of wheels, what you can and can't do with them, the transmitters, etc., etc. A-Main rents out a pit. So we rented a pit to use when we're over at the indoor track. $60 a month. We rented a pit. We put some tools out there. We go over there sometimes on Wednesday nights when they're doing some club racing, or Friday nights when they're racing in the outdoor oval. And my kids, my grandkids, they have a great time. We're having a good time. They love spending time with Grandpa. It's great for me to spend that time with my grandkids and do some of this. But when we were first over there at our pit, the first night we were there, a gentleman behind us we were talking to a little bit, and he says, you know, this hobby gets to be expensive fast. And I didn't think that much when I was buying, you know, cars for $25 a piece or boats 2 for $45. But I'm into this this is not a kid's hobby. This is a hobby for adults with an adult budget and income source. But it's been worth it, worth every penny I've spent so far. I didn't mention, my kids also like the rock crawlers. So a couple of times we've been to the store, they want to look at the rock crawlers, so we've also invested in a couple of rock crawlers that we're going to be working on, and we're going to be building a rock crawler course here in the garage, and we'll do some videos on that. So anyway, that's how this 66-year-old grandpa got into remote control cars with his grandkids. And we're having a blast. We're having a lot of fun. They're learning something, I think. I'm learning a little bit, and we'll just see where it takes us. But that's where this YouTube channel came from, where the name Cables RC comes from. As I said, the names of all my grandkids, and they're going to be doing some videos themselves, and we're going to interview them and some of their friends that they've met and other people locally around in remote control cars and drones, and we've got a couple of drones too. So a lot to learn. Appreciate you joining our channel. If you like what you see in our videos, please go ahead and subscribe. And we're just going to document our journey of trying to get into this little hobby and learning everything we can about it in the coming months. And as we buy a new car or do a new build or learn to paint a new body or learn to adjust the wheels or upgrade the cars with metal instead of plastic, and as we get started on our rock crawler course, we're going to video all that and document it. If you like the channel, you like what you see, please subscribe. And we're just going to keep adding to it. And at some point, the kids will take it all on, and it'll be their channel. So thanks for listening. I appreciate you joining us, and thanks for your time.